And the Oscar award for the company which has the most drama in 2021 goes to, drumrolls please, Alibaba, of course. Who else would you expect to win this award? So I must really say that it has really been an extremely wild ride. And I would like to first thank all of you who have been on this journey with me thus far. So my first video that essentially quote-unquote blew up was me actually talking about the news where Charlie Munger, who's one of the super investor, where he bought his first tranche in Alibaba back in Q1 of this year. So I had a solid 2,000 views on that video, and I still remembered I was over the moon, like literally over the moon. Now, if you were to study the price patterns of Alibaba today, I believe back in the Q1 of this year, it was hovering around the price range of 220 to 240. And today, it's trading at 110 to 120, essentially cutting the valuation by half. Amusing enough, around the 220 to 240 range, Charlie Munger has already thought that there was a significant enough margin of safety. Or maybe he was just old and senile, and this was just one of his mistakes. So throughout the course of the last 8 months, I had tried my best to essentially provide you guys and promptly cover the different developments surrounding the company, and also China as a country by and large. More importantly though, I think many of you who actually subscribed really just wanted my take, which is usually the quote-unquote opposing side of the argument, of the different news reports and the government developments back in China. And of course, I know some of you watch me just to laugh at me. I'm perfectly fine with that as well, because at least I had entertainment value. You know what else has entertainment value? Of course, smashing the like button. So this time is no different. Whenever something happens, there are always two sides of a coin. So Alibaba made headline news again when the China's Industry Ministry, Industry Ministry, what a tongue twister. Anyway, it is alleged that the Industry Ministry pulled their support from Alibaba Cloud for not reporting an Apache Log4j bug to the government. First, I would like to put out a disclaimer. The only log I know is the logarithm function that I learned in high school. And trust me, I have forgotten a huge part of how to use log x, log n, log 10, whatever. So I'm not going to act all knowledgeable and tell you what and how the proper procedures are and what Alibaba should have done because I couldn't know better than them. Whatever I'll be sharing will be from secondary sources as well, and probably just my own interpretation and opinion of what actually transpired. So just take it with a pinch of salt, of course. So secondly, there was no official announcement or notice from the industry website, but it was plastered all over the news media. So let's just marvel ourselves and assume that whatever the media reported is true. If you don't trust me, you can go ahead and search the Industry Ministry website or even their official publication and announcement page. There was no such announcement, but let's just assume that everything that was said on all these news media is legitimate and it's real. So, to set the record straight, these are the quote-unquote facts that we know as of today. So the Chinese media actually reported on Wednesday that the Chinese Internet Security Regulator has disciplined Alibaba's cloud computing services unit by essentially trying to suspend their work with AliCloud as their cybersecurity threat intelligence partner for 6 months. Because the alleged crime here is that the company did not immediately report a severe bug in the widely used logging software to the government agency. So at face value, this seems like an extremely detrimental news for Alibaba's cloud business, because it will definitely affect the business prospects for the cloud units if the government by and large pull their support for the company. So I was at first definitely a bit taken aback and also a little bit bewildered, because initially I thought AliCloud was no longer working with the government and it was already set in stone. So I didn't know of this specific partnership. So for those of you who have been following me for quite some time now, I did briefly actually discuss about this government partnership back in, I think, September if I'm not wrong, and I will display the thumbnail here for anyone that is interested in that particular video. So I went to revisit the article again that I shared previously and realized that, hey, actually it was only Tianjin, which was one of the provinces in China, that asked specific government firms to move their data out of Alibaba and Tencent Cloud. So essentially, it's like how in the US, maybe California or even Texas places like a soft sanction on companies, hypothetically. So this time around, it's the Ministry of Industry and Information Technology, so MIIT for short. So this can be seen as having a much larger implication because it's the overarching government, or it's the central government, as some might say, that is taking their jab at Alibaba and having a go at them. So now, to go down to the specifics of what actually transpired, the Log4j vulnerability was essentially described as a nightmare and catastrophic because the simple piece of Java-based software can be found in countless and countless of internet-connected devices, from IoT products, which are Internet of Things, like TV, cameras, and even servers running cloud operations like tech giants like Amazon, Google, and Microsoft. So the flaw was first discovered by one of Alibaba Cloud security team engineer, and he went ahead to notify the Apache Software Foundation so that they can fix it ASAP before anything huge happens if people with malicious intent discovers and exploits this specific flaw. So the thing that left bystanders scratching their head was that when the MIT Bureau said that they were notified about the vulnerability by the relevant cybersecurity institutions, and they subsequently summoned AliCloud and other cybersecurity firms to discuss this specific situation and this specific vulnerability. So the cybersecurity industry norms encourage notifying vendors of the security flaws first, giving them ample time to address the problem before disclosing the issue to the public, so the necessary solutions are being meted out before the necessary stakeholders are informed. So it seems like the government regulators are unhappy that Alibaba failed to promptly report and address the vulnerability to them first. So even though they are critically aware of this flaw. So if I were to put everything into perspective, the intuitive chronological chain of events are, first, the Alibaba employee found out of this flaw that is extremely deadly and even potentially have a catastrophic impact if exploited by all the different malicious actors. So next, the employee then proceeded on to inform the relevant vendors, in this case Apache or whoever it is, to essentially ask them to wake up their idea and to provide a fix for the problem as soon as possible. So at the same time, I would also speculate that they did not notify the Chinese regulators or even the Chinese government, even though they were aware that the Chinese system was also equally exposed and vulnerable to this said flaw. So after the fix was released, the vendor had to issue a note and inform all their users, which also include the Chinese government, of this so-called flaw or vulnerability. So thereafter, the Chinese government is pissed at Alibaba because they did not inform them prior, and they essentially only got wind of this vulnerability from a third-party sources, despite one of their most trusted company was the one that identified the specific flaw. So now with this chain of events set in mind, let me provide you with some of my thoughts. If you were to look at it from the government's perspective, I can truly understand why they were triggered and disappointed. Let's not forget, AliCloud was a cybersecurity partner with the MIT prior to this incident. So even though Alibaba was aware of this flaw, and they are also probably aware that the Chinese data is also subjected to the same kind of risk, why did they not inform us as in the government, beforehand, so that they can take the necessary actions and not to leave all these different Chinese data vulnerable? So from this perspective, you can see that the government treats Alibaba as a close ally, or even like a brother or family of sort, where they were expected to help protect Chinese data as well. So I'm not going to go into the technicalities of their partnership because I don't think anybody knows. But exposing the Chinese system unnecessarily, even if it's just for days, was uncalled for. And also when it could have very well been prevented. So from Alibaba's perspective, I don't think they have done anything that was really wrong. They followed the industry norm, they de-escalated the issue, and nothing major happened, nothing major cocked up. So on top of that, they were also following the Internet Product Security Loophole Management Regulation. It was a mouthful, but essentially, this regulation only encourage, I want to emphasize encourage, to report bugs found in other people's software, and there was no explicit requirements for them to report to the government. That said though, it's not like it's the first time something like that had happened in China. Let's not kid ourselves. So it's also not the first year that Alibaba is working with the Chinese government, knowing that they've been working with the government for God knows how long. So I really do not know what Alibaba will get from withholding this information from the regulators or the government by and large. So I sincerely believe that it was essentially just a hiccup within the organization, and this vulnerability was not conveyed to the Chinese government in a very timely fashion. So I'm quite sure that Alibaba is also critically aware of how serious the government treats their data security. So I was also quite surprised something like this happened when they noticed of something and they didn't actually inform the specific people or key stakeholders. So from the foreigner's perspective, of course, they will spin it into how, the Chinese government was angry that they had a missed opportunity of hacking into other people's platform. So if they knew of this vulnerability before the developers came up with this solution, they could have very well exploited it to gain access and data of other companies or even other countries' intelligence. So to that, I'll just reply with 3 letters, LOL. If you really think that we are living in a utopian world, maybe you would like to think again. I'm pretty sure that this kind of cyber warfare works both ways. China, Russia, North Korea, and whoever out there, they have whatever teams that constantly trying to siphon information from other countries. That I do agree. But I would also believe that it works both ways. Don't tell me that the United States are not doing the same. There are China and Russian spies in the United States. And equally, there are United States spies in both countries as well. Nobody runs a monopoly here with regards to corporate espionage or even cyber espionage. I think the Chinese regulators were even more unhappy because Alibaba essentially exposed them to a great amount of risk and a great deal of risk, because if the relevant developers actually tip this information to their government, who knows what would have or have already been compromised. So whatever I'm saying are just speculations, by the way. Don't take it to heart, and I don't represent any government. So just saying, and I don't have any liability insurance. Everything I'm spouting is just my own opinion, of course. So the actions meted out by the regulators was a suspension in partnership for 6 months to essentially allow Alibaba to sort out their internal protocols and procedures before even revisiting a potential resumption of this partnership. So in essence, they're just making an example out of this incident. And to the rest of the other companies or cybersecurity companies and stakeholders in the entire ecosystem, they essentially made the message loud and clear. So I don't think that this was necessarily out to kill. Who knows? I might be so naive and had a completely wrong read of this entire situation. But I think the partnership will resume after this thing dies down. So ultimately, it's the message that counts. So what do you think? Leave in the comment section down below. Also, Moomoo is running a Christmas activity until the 31st of December 2021. So where you get a free Apple share and $40 of cash coupon when you make your first deposit amounting to around 2,700 Sing dollars or equivalent. So you can also stand a chance to win an iPhone 13, an AirPods 3 and many more during the limited time rewards promotion. So you can use my referral link down below in the description, and you will also get 180 days of unlimited commission-free trades and real-time market data. And I'll see you in the next video, but more importantly, I'll see you on the moon. Goodbye!